Okay, let's call ourselves to order. Joint meeting of the West Newbury Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, the town moderator, the town clerk, and the town manager. This meeting is being broadcast on local cable TV and recorded for rebroadcast on the local cable channels and on the internet. The meeting is accessible by remote participation. It's a Zoom meeting. The phone number for the Zoom is 646-558-8656. And the meeting ID is 974-0893-1425. And the passcode is 012155. Okay. The announcements for tonight, this is what we're going to be discussing. The fall town meeting, special town meeting is scheduled for Saturday, October 17th at behind the bandstand on Bachelor Street at 10 a.m. The rain date is the Sunday right after that, if at 10 a.m. if that is necessary. We're still looking for some important committees. The Zoning Board of Appeals, we're looking for an associate member. The FinCom, we're looking for a member. A great opportunity to contribute to the town, learn a lot about what's going on in the town. It's really, and it's fun. And to receive notices for the town, go to www.wnewbury.org and /subscribe. Without further ado, I guess we can start on the joint meeting.
Hey, Archie, I would request, this is Glenn, that everybody put themselves on mute unless they're going to speak. Just notice that a lot of people are not on mute, and it becomes a problem getting into the meeting.
Okay, so because we got a lot of people here that may want to chime in, why don't Angus, you could, well, you can unmute people. Why don't you do? Someone put their hand up. Anybody that's on video, and we'll recognize them. That how's that? Okay. So I guess we should go right to the first off. Casey, do you want to say anything just about the meeting in general before we start?
Well, I did have a couple of questions. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but
Sure.
I had a question about the timing starting at 10 o'clock. It's a relatively short agenda, and on October, I guess I got it wrong, but on October 14th, it could be rather cool in the morning. And I thought that 10 o'clock may not be necessary for a start for the meeting, given that the weather might be really cool in the morning and it's a short agenda. So we might want to consider starting it a little bit later.
That's something to think about. Angus, you know, if all the games in the afternoon that were scheduled there in other words, you have to be out of there by a certain point.
Nope, they're all moved over to Pipes, Dave. So the entire day, and there's nothing booked on Sunday either at the Bachelor Street Field.
Glenn, do you have a comment?
Well, I would say wear a sweater or something, honestly. I think you'll get more people if it's in the morning rather than the middle of the day, so people can then do something on that Saturday. But it doesn't matter to me.
Forbes? We're not. Okay.
There is no Forbes.
Yeah, the Forbes is not on the FinCom anymore
now, but he's no longer a member of the committee.
Forbes isn't walking through that door anytime soon.
We're keeping it warm. That's funny. He's welcome back anytime.
I figured he might have been called in as a member of the public, that's all.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an open meeting. If he raises his hand, he can talk, you know.
Oh, Forbes is here. I'm sorry. I
He is.
didn't see him. He didn't show up. Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's here. He's not, his video isn't on though.
okay.
And I guess he's muted. So Forbes, speak up if you care to. Yeah, I as far as the timing is concerned, I sort of have a similar opinion to Glenn, I guess, in that, you know, I think it being a Saturday, people will probably have other things on their agenda, and the obviously it could be chilly at 10 o'clock, but it might not be too, and we're hardy New Englanders.
I'll speak for myself, not for the whole finance committee, but I would be apt to leave it where it is so we could get it done and get it over with, and hopefully all have our afternoons.
That, I would agree.
How do I raise my hand?
You're already unmuted, Casey, so speak.
Okay, so I
We can
can't.
hear you.
Anyway, it's not a big deal for me, so fine, leave it the way it is.
Okay, guess we can go right to the discussion of the articles now. So, Article 1, to act upon, to hear and act upon reports of town officers and committees. So, Angus, have you received any reports that, or people, any committees that want to talk?
I have not.
I mean, we kind of like to discourage it, but it is going to be, you know, it isn't going to be a lengthy meeting. So if someone had something pressing that they really did need to talk, did need to speak, it seems like it should be okay.
I agree with you, Archie.
Do you want to have do we want to have a deadline that people have to, if they want to speak, that they have to let you know and Casey know within a certain amount of time, or wait till the last minute? I don't know.
They have to inform them by Tuesday before, and they have a 3-minute limit. And I just threw that out, just for discussion. Tuesday before, 3-minute limit, that gives enough time for, if anything comes in, for Angus to organize that and then send it over to KC so she knows what she's dealing with that day.
Okay, but I have two comments. First of all, reports, which are not just people speaking, have traditionally had 10 minutes, not 3. So, I mean, that's a change. So, you know, I don't know what to say about that. Yes, I need to know ahead of time if someone wants to make a report under Article 1. But we do leave that motion open. If we're accepting reports, we do leave that motion open for the duration of the meeting, so that if someone wants to make a report before a specific article, they can do that, which is the way we've traditionally done it. Now, when we had the Springtown meeting, we said there would be no reports. So that sort of obviated that whole situation. But if we want to go back to the other way we've done things, yes, it's very helpful to me, but this has not always happened, Glenn, as you can understand.
Yep.
I have not always been informed ahead of time that someone wanted to make a report. Sometimes when we get to the meeting, someone comes running up to the front and says, "Oh," and I've always let those people do that. And it's usually right before the article. So if we're going to go back to the old way of doing things, then we need to go back to the old way of doing things.
Well, I just threw it out there to start the discussion. We were meeting with the planning board about articles that we were going to keep on. Somebody brought up a point that if we keep on pushing things off, this spring, we're going to have like 400 reports, 5,000 articles, I'm being facetious. Do you understand? So that kind of resonated in my head and said, maybe if we can get a few of these reports that people wanted to do in the spring, but then they have to understand we have a new normal. So if 3 minutes is not good, let's say 5 minutes, a 5-minute report. And so they can maybe just give us the highlights of the report rather than kind of reading all the text that's in there, maybe like an outline, just to get some of them done. So we don't have so many requests in the spring saying, hey, listen, we wanted to make a report and it's been a year. We haven't been able to address the town. I don't know. We might not get any, but at least we have give them the opportunity to do that.
I think Glenn's point, 3 or 5 is better than 10. I mean, it is different sitting outside if it was slightly damp or foggy or whatever. People aren't going to be that patient with a 10-minute report about fire hydrants or something or other. No.
And I understand your point, Casey. This is Glenn. But we're not going back to old because we're outside and stuff like that. If we were going back into the annex and it seemed like the old, then I would understand. And I would kind of say, but I would say 5 minutes is good.
Well, Glenn, you do understand that even in the old school way of doing things, when it was 10 minutes.
It still wasn't enough.
went on and on.
Yeah, I understand.
So for me, the question is, do you want to have reports? In which case, it's very difficult for me to cut people off in the middle of a report that they've obviously spent a lot of time on, and they obviously care a lot about, and they're really into it. And now we get down to, even at 10 minutes, we get down to 10 minutes, and I'm standing there thinking, okay, how much longer is this thing going to go on?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we reduce it to 5 minutes, I have the same problem. It's just a question of, at which point do I get to be heavy-handed and pick up the gavel and say, all right, your 5 minutes or whatever is up. And if people haven't been making reports for all this time, then they're going to be like you. So
Yeah.
it's just a question of,
Whatever we think. I mean, I didn't mean to make this meeting come to a screeching halt. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
but whatever you think. I'm just thinking. Whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
I do think that we ought to allow people to make reports. I don't think we should discourage too aggressively, because it is the opportunity for people to learn about what else is going on in their town government. And it's already been, we've missed the spring. And obviously a lot of times people don't have anything to say, but there are people who might have something to say, and to let it go, it would basically be a year and a half to the next opportunity, from the last opportunity, it would be a year and a half until the next opportunity for people to hear what their town government is doing, what boards and committees are doing. And it strikes me as that's way too long.
That's a good point.
Nathan's had his hand up. Nathan wants to.
I had a question for Casey, wondering if we could keep it to reports relevant to just the articles in the special town meeting, but I guess that, having heard some other things, that doesn't necessarily make sense. I also understand the comments about 18 months, but I also think that, getting people to come to a fall town meeting is often difficult to begin with, and people are coming there to take care of the articles. They're not necessarily coming there with the intention of listening to long reports while shivering in the morning, or even at any time of day, shivering in an October day. I think they're looking to get the things taken care of and move on. And next spring would be a great time to have new reports, is what I think.
I'd just like to make one point.
Yeah.
And that is, since there is a zoning article, we should have the planning board recommendation as part of the town meeting, because under the statute, the planning board has to give his recommendations on any zoning article. And it can be as short as one sentence. The planning board recommends that the town meeting pass this article, but they have to give a report. They have to give their recommendations to the town.
And in the spring, people gave those reports right before those articles were occurring.
No, actually, in the spring, Jim, we didn't have any reports.
Well,
But I have a suggestion. We have typically asked for people who want to make reports to notify us ahead of time, so that I'm aware that there are reports going to be made. And if we say we're going to limit the reports to 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes, it would be expeditious for me to actually talk to the people who want to make reports about, okay, we're going to allow reports. We don't want them to go on for 20 minutes. We're going to limit the time for 5 minutes. And then it's my problem to figure out when to pick up the gavel if they keep going on and on and on. That's very awkward for me because a lot of times people are really doing a good job. They've put a lot of effort into this. And I don't like to gavel people down who are really putting in a lot of effort about their report. It's just not, it's an awkward situation for me. And I really don't like to do that. But if people are going on and on for many, many minutes past the 5 minutes, then that's my job. I have to tell them, well, your time's up. Let's, get on with it. So I'll do that. But I would like to have a heads up if there are going to be reports and an opportunity to talk to people who are giving reports and say, it's a different situation. We don't want really long-winded reports, but you can give a report, but try to keep it to 5 minutes.
I think
Another
that's a great
idea could be
suggestion.
that you had this really well-received meeting prior to the actual town meeting that was on Zoom, or you could even have people pre-record the reports. So people who are interested in the reports could go view that, either attend a meeting like this, where people could then give those reports, or then just have them pre-recorded and then people could watch those reports. So I think
Right.
that's another idea in today's world that we're in.
That's a good idea.
Well, why don't we send something out to all the boards and committees that we would know of and just say, the deadline then is on Monday before that. They have to notify Angus, I guess, or whomever, and whoever's going to be the point person. And then within that framework, say that, the deadline is Monday. It's a 5-minute thing because it's, our new normal. And then you'll have to discuss the report. You have to discuss with Casey prior, before Thursday of that week. She would like to discuss to you about the report and what's going to happen that day. And then there will be definitely no day of notification of reports, and see what happens. I mean, it's going to be small. I mean, we might have 2 or 3. And I think, like what Rick said, it's kind of nice to hear stuff what's going on in the town. And I mean, it only benefits everybody.
Okay, I think that's anyone else further comments about that?
I'll send out a notice along those lines tomorrow.
Okay, next article, see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $80,953 from the school stabilization fund to offset the property tax impact of a Prop 2.5 override and pay the town share of debt service associated with the building of the new middle high school by request of the Board of Selectmen. Okay, so the selectmen had voted 3-0 to support this article.
The Finance Committee was 4-0-1 in favor of this article.
And the money's coming from?
The School Stabilization Fund.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. 4-0-1.
Okay, we haven't is there anything unusual about the motion not having used this account to not having taken money out of this account? Is there anything unusual that we have to do about this motion?
We did take money out in June, so it'll be the same motion.
Oh, right. Okay, right. Okay.
And
And it's a 2/3 vote.
it's a 2/3 vote.
Okay. Next article, to see if the town will vote to amend the fiscal year 2021 town omnibus budget adopted under the motion for Article 3 of the annual town meeting on June 27, 2020, and vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum or sums of money as may be necessary to defray the expenses of the town for FY 2021. And so,
I think the first question would be, don't we need a number in there?
right, and the actual number, when you add up all those items, Angus, is what's the bottom line number there?
Nathan, do you happen to have that from the Dropbox from earlier today? I believe it was negative 243.
But aren't we treating this like the omnibus budget? We don't put the number in the omnibus budget either. This is,
Right, we don't.
yeah, so we don't need to put a number in it. This is, and we don't want to limit it with the number. Because that, I mean, we're treating this just like the omnibus budget article.
Okay, so that means we have to have a omnibus budget, and we have to vote it on by lines then. If that, we have to vote each line to decrease it.
Each line item then?
Yeah, and that's, yeah, what was it exactly? Casey will treat it just like the omnibus budget, except only reading certain lines. Obviously, if people put a hold on it, then,
For example, someone could say, Section 40, employees' health insurance, hold on that particular line item, or,
Yeah.
okay,
Now, this doesn't open up the whole omnibus budget or just the articles. Maybe then we have to see, then in the article, don't we have to then say which lines we're opening
yes.
up?
Well, Casey will read each line. A
Read-
line and a recommended number, which is recommended from the finance committee, and that
But
will
hold
be
on.
the motion on the board.
But hold on
If
for a
someone
second.
wishes to change that, they have to, make their motion to amend it.
I got it. So she's
There's
only
not-
going to read the lines we want to change.
Right.
There's not, Glenn, there's nine.
I would like to weigh in here because you just raised an issue which I think is kind of interesting. I mean, we're moving to this article suggests that we amend the omnibus budget. We passed the omnibus budget as a whole. We modified lines as we went through. I'm not sure that we actually modified anything, but we had holds on various lines as we went through in the spring. And once the whole thing was done and we had amended whatever lines we wanted to amend, then we moved to pass the omnibus budget as amended. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so now my question is, and I didn't even think about this. Can we really, and this is a question, I guess, for Mike, can we really pick and choose which lines we want to amend? Because we're reopening the omnibus budget for modification. So can we really pick and choose which lines we want to amend? Or is the whole omnibus budget now open for amendment because it got passed as a single motion?
The answer is that in the first part, is that what you're reading as the lines is the motion from the finance committee.
Right.
And that's what's before town meeting.
Right.
Now, since it is the omnibus budget, someone could get up and say, I move to amend a different line item. Okay, and if they get a second. Now, that's a possibility, but I would assume that the finance committee and the board of selectmen would universally say, no, that hasn't been vetted at all. And it wouldn't really have a lot of chance of success because they'd have to do it on the fly without it ever having been looked at. So the motions.
But Mike, even if there's one that there's a hold on and there's a change, it has been vetted by the finance committee. And
Yes, it has.
No, if some random person stands up and says, I want to amend the amount that we're going to appropriate for the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial or whatever.
Just the police salaries account or something like that.
Yeah,
I want to bring it down by $60,000. That's
Yeah.
not been vetted.
not been vetted.
And that could be
So-
seconded and then voted on, and then that could be the number after they put a hold on it. Like in future years, you can't raise it, but you can lower it. Oh,
No, you actually, Glenn,
yeah,
that's
you
not
can.
right. In the line item budget.
Yeah, you can raise it.
raise Or lower. You can either raise or lower in the line item budget.
Yep,
It's
that's right. It's the articles you can't do
not
that
just
on.
lines.
So that
And-
goes back to my original point that when you open it up, are we opening up the whole thing? Does that mean Casey has to read every single one? Or does that mean then she would just only read the 9 that were in question?
No, because the
then
9
hold
are
on,
the
hold on,
motion,
hold on,
the
hold on.
9 are the motion on the floor. The 9
got it.
articles.
I got it. And so.
And if someone says, I want to move article something else, that would have to be an amendment that would be seconded. It'd be kind of out of the blue and kind of,
You'd have to
Arbitrary.
get a completely different motion.
well, it would have to be another amendment on it.
Right.
Yeah, so it can possibly happen. We have to be ready for it, but we don't think it's going to happen because it seems like it's out of the blue. I got
Yeah.
that. But I'm going to go back to my next question. So
No.
do we have to, because these, the thing that we're going to post here, the articles that are here, do we have to, in the Article 3, have to say which lines we're going to be adjusting? So, because this is to serve notice to the town of what we're going to do. That's
The
my
answer
only
is
thing.
no more than we have to publish the whole budget in the warrant. It's the same idea.
So
I
you
think
have-
our
Warning
intent is
them that
to
we're
include
making
an
changes to
appendix.
the omnibus budget. But
I think
just-
our intent is to include an appendix that does lay out the lines. Though.
Exactly.
Is that correct,
Yeah.
Angus?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Well, I agree that that's the intent. And that is the most logical way to do things. I'm not sure I agree that by going back to the line item budget and choosing various lines to amend does not open up the whole line item budget for the potential for amendment. I'm not convinced yet.
But,
No, I think it
but
does.
the
I
whole
think it
line
does.
item budget is always open to amendment. I mean,
Well, it
that's
is.
the point.
It was in the
So,
spring.
so are you suggesting the omnibus budget and then just put in the warrant article for only these line items?
Well, the way it's worded now, it says to amend the fiscal year 2021 town omnibus budget. That's what it
But-
said.
But whoever makes the motion is going to be, I didn't see it. It's not 9, it's 14. 14 items, but the motion is the key thing. And as long as we keep it to, line 32 recreation and line 26 DPW, it's very specific. And then someone would have to make a motion to amend, they would seek to change, they would seek to change the motion in order to, get into the,
Absolutely right, Archie, but they could do that. That's what I'm saying.
but they could do that
That,
anytime.
okay, I didn't like line 35. I don't know what line 35 is incidentally. I
Right.
didn't like line 35 in the omnibus budget in the spring. I want to amend that one. That would be an acceptable motion to amend. And we-
I would agree,
If it was ever seconded.
but hopefully it would be voted down.
Well, hopefully, but I mean, the way the article is worded right now, it says to amend the fiscal year omnibus budget. So a motion to amend an article, a line that wasn't in the motion would be in order because it's under the warrant article.
Oh, I agree.
What if the article were to say to amend the following lines in the omnibus budget?
And that
And
would,
then just
that
list
would
the
restrict it.
lines.
That
I'm
would-
sorry, say that again, please.
I said that would restrict it.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. We should have the lines in there or it's going to open up the whole budget. So I think we need to reword this article and say that whatever particular lines, so that means we have to say what we're, probably what we're decreasing them by too. You know,
No,
lines-
no.
No,
it's
if you
a-
just include the lines themselves, that would be
yeah,
enough.
Okay.
So it said what you're
Or you
saying.
can
is-
reference the appendix too.
No, you want you don't want to reference the FinCom in the warrant.
No,
No.
no,
But-
because it won't, I don't know if they are, we have to post this. That means we have to give notice to the town. So when we
Right.
post the articles, you know, it has to, that means that FinCom thing would have to be with that when we post it. You don't want that.
So
And so,
So basically, the article, what was it? Basically, the article can be to see if the town will vote to amend lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the fiscal year 2021 town omnibus budget adopted under motion 3. So basically, all you have to do is say to amend and then insert the lines that we want to amend. And that would restrict it to only those articles.
Right.
If that's, it's the selectmen, if that's what you want to do,
That sounds good to me.
I think that sounds good, yeah.
sounds good to me.
I would just note, we'll need to get to that final language in the first half of tomorrow, Mike, so we can get that over to Nate for the booklet. Because
Not a problem.
the warrant in the FinCom booklet has to match every comma with what's actually going to be posted.
Correct.
So,
I thought this was going to be a fast meeting, but I do have to leave by 8:30. Just, I want to tell everybody, I'm sorry. And I've been probably more of a problem delaying this because of how much I'm talking, but we do want to get things right. But I do have to leave by 8:30.
That incidentally, making the article that way and then the motion that way makes it easier for me to call the things and call holds on them without having to read out every single line that you want to amend. I mean, this was a bit of a problem for me of how do I actually handle this motion? Because it's very vague the way it is written now. And in the motion, it needs to be more specific or I'm stuck with reading the whole line item budget again.
Okay, sounds like a solution then. That sounds like this will improve things.
Okay, so,
so Archie, just briefly, in terms of the actual proposed amendments, the FinCom and the Selectmen all voted favorably for the amendments outlined in the September 25th memo in the packet.
okay, so what is the bottom line on that?
It's a reduction of 234,460.
234,460.
And that's largely driven, as you know, by the taking out the 328,600 for the school stabilization. So that's why we put Article 2 before Article 3, because if Article 2 passed at a different amount, or if Article 2 did not pass, that number needs to be reflected in the Article 3 motion.
Okay, so Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of 220,000 to reduce the current year tax rate. So Angus, my question is your latest numbers on using that particular scenario that the tax rate would demonstrate if we voted the Article 3 and then voted for affirmatively for 4, that it still would be an increase of 3.4%. Is that correct? Or is that?
That's correct, with the pretty big asterisk that you know is without knowing what the actual assessed values will be. I did have a call with Patriot Properties earlier today, and I do expect to get those assessed values tomorrow. Obviously, they're not going to be submitted to DOR until the Board of Assessors reviews them, and they're not going to be certified by DOR prior to town meeting, but we'll at least have a better idea of the starting point. The assessed values I assumed were based on the 5-year average. So if the value values increase more than that, that will reduce the estimated tax rate.
Okay, so this article would be, what the source of the money, if we vote for this, would be surplus overlay account money that if we do not target it for use during the year, will close out to free cash at the end of FY21. So it's not free cash now. It's not. It doesn't have to be part of certified free cash at the moment. It can be used immediately by the town for ongoing expenses. But if we don't use it in the interim, then at the end of the year, it becomes free cash. So that's where that money comes from. And that has been certified, or however it is, by DOR, that we can use that money immediately.
Yeah,
Correct.
so this money is our townspeople have already been taxed on, and to have an account, making sure that we have money in that account, that if any abatements, tax abatements came up, there'd be money there if they got an abatement. So I suggest that, because they've already been taxed on it, we have not needed that. We still have enough money in the abatement account for any future things that we need to give this back to the taxpayers as a tax, rate decrease.
So the selectmen at their last meeting did vote 3-0 to support this article.
The Finance Committee also voted unanimously in favor of this article.
Okay, so we have to, the article should say that from available funds. Is that a good way of defining where the source of this money? Just, it is available funds, but do we want to be more specific with that in the article?
We don't have to be more specific. I mean, because you can take it from any available funds. Obviously, the motion will be specific to the surplus overlay.
And I think the FinCom would, I'm not going to speak for them, would probably have in their backup exactly where it's coming from. It does get a little confusing. I don't even think people understand that we have this.
So I would say in the write-up that we are in the process of going along with this, I actually explain what overlay is, because I agree with you, Glenn. I think a lot of people are not even going to necessarily understand what this account is. So that's part of our explanation.
I would say probably 90% of people don't know what it is. Yeah. So that's great.
Yes.
Okay, next one. To see if the town will vote to appropriate in anticipation of water department revenue, the sum of $14.92, that's right at Columbus Day time, for insurances by request of the Board of Water Commissioners.
The FinCom, just like the Selectmen, the FinCom was also unanimous recommending this.
So now that we just talked about line items, are we increasing a line item for the of the water commissioners, or our town insurance line item?
Water.
So does that have to be? Does that have to?
Correct. Yeah, we're changing their budget.
Yeah, we're increasing their line item, right? This is not like so maybe we need to say that, because we have, while we have it open on Article 3, maybe this needs to be under Article 3, that we're decreasing 14 and we're increasing 1. I don't know, but I'm just trying to keep it similar.
It's not related to Article 3 financially. It's and
Well, I know it's not financially. Conceptually, we're decreasing all those, correct? But
The net decrease, some
Yeah.
are up, some are going
Some
down.
are up and some are down, but this is separate
Okay.
because it's water. We do the water differently.
You guys are confusing me a little bit here. I am under the impression that the water department budget is independent of the.
It is.
It
line
is.
item budget. And so this has nothing to do with the line item budget. This is just a change to the water department budget.
Correct.
okay,
Glenn, you're making it extra complicated.
bye. Mute.
Okay, to see if the town will transfer from, Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds a sum of $240,000 to purchase a new dump truck with plow and spreader to replace a 2008 International dump truck with same or comparable equipment and dispose of the existing dump truck in accordance with town policy for disposition of surplus property. The selectmen were unanimous in support of this. This article was deferred from the spring, but due to increasing manufacturing lag time to actually get the vehicle, the DPW director requested that we go forward with this purchase at the special town meeting.
The FinCom was also unanimous in support of the article, and the Capital Improvements Committee met last Wednesday, and they voted favorably. Not all of the members were there, but it was unanimous among the members present to recommend this.
So the motion has to say that this would be a 2/3 and it's coming from stabilization. Okay, Article 7, to see if the town will vote to extend the sunset clause as adopted under the motion for Article 18 of the annual town meeting on April 29th, 2019 for a period of 1 year until June 30th, 2022 by request of the fire chief. The selectmen voted 3-0 to support this.
I have no idea what this means.
The chief simply, the department needs more time in order to get this particular purchase made, and if left in its present condition, they may not be able to spend the money. It may revert back to free cash if they haven't finished.
That explains it, but the article is a bit too vague, I think.
Okay.
As it says, to see if the town will vote to extend the sunset clause as adopted under motion for Article 18.
Which it
Someone-
was.
Someone coming to the meeting. They probably have no idea what the motion under Article 18 was to begin with. And so they're being asked to extend it. Extend what? I mean, I looked at this and I did not go back to my notes for the Article 18 of the annual town meeting. I had no idea what sunset clause we were talking about or what it had to do. And then it's by request of the fire chief. So you could probably surmise that it had something to do with the fire thing. But I think this article is much too vague because it says extend the sunset clause. It sounds like there was some sort of omnibus sunset clause that was adopted in the town meeting on April 29th. Could it be a bit more specific that it is a sunset clause related to the fire truck?
So how about if the article just included a line that said, the article which approved funding for acquisition of,
Rescue truck.
of fire truck.
Just say what it was.
Yeah.
It's a rescue truck, not a fire truck. I'm not trying to be particular, but that's why it's taken too long because those,
Article motion 18, nobody's gonna look back at that. Just put down what it was.
So what you're suggesting is that the article would be amended to read, to see if the town will vote to extend the sunset clause
regarding the.
regarding the,
blah, blah, blah.
whatever was described, the fire truck, it was actually described, the fire rescue truck, something like that.
Right.
As was adopted under motion under Article 18 of the annual town meeting.
Right. Because the way it's worded now, it sounded to me when I looked at it, like we had some sort of a sunset clause bylaw or something that we were amending, and I had no idea what this meant.
Okay. All right, so we just add the words then basically after sunset clause, referring to how that motion was described.
Right.
And,
Right.
okay.
That's perfect. Fixes it.
A question for the FinCom on, back on Article 6. Did the FinCom vote to have any kind of sunset clause on the dump truck purchase?
The end of
The
2020.
fiscal year 2023.
Okay.
So would that sunset be mentioned in the in the motion?
We in the motion, yes, but we don't put it in the article.
Right, thank you.
Okay, Article 8. To see if the town will vote to amend Section 5A 2C of the West Newbury zoning bylaw regarding accessory uses permitted in the residence A, B, and C districts, including the keeping of pets and animals for use of the resident premises and professional home, office, and customary home occupation, etc. So after some discussion, the selectmen voted unanimously, me reluctantly, to support this article.
But you reluctantly, Archie, not of the substance of the article, that we wanted to wait until spring.
Right.
But now that I'm looking at this, didn't Ray say that this, the thing about keeping pets and animals for use as of the resident premises, wasn't that the real controversial one, and that was going to be taken out? Didn't he assure us of that?
That was about the horse part of it.
Okay. Does anybody have, or do we have in this packet, Angus, what that really means?
It's unchanged from what was in the
Last week?
September 15th packet, but basically this section that's referenced is still amended, but not in the ways that were controversial last winter. It's more housekeeping edits.
Okay. I would just make sure, FinCom, that in your booklet, that's spelled out, because that was a real, for people, I got more phone calls about that, the article thing about, they wanted to change some stuff. So without being very specific in this article, people might start thinking that it was the same one. They don't know. They don't attend
We
the meetings.
didn't vote or make a recommendation on this article.
Okay.
But the FinCom appendix is quite detailed, and it includes the rationale per section.
Okay, that's all I'm saying, because this might be like a, whatever,
So this is a 2/3 vote, number 2.
Okay. Anybody have any further comments about the warrant articles?
Hopefully we'll breeze through in an hour.
Yeah.
Everybody will be so cold that they'll just vote for everything just to get.
I think
hope-
we're hardier than that, actually.
And I hope it's a warm day because Casey has a lot, I told you so, as if it's not.
You're right.
I'm hoping it's not 80 degrees like it was today.
Well, I know, today was, this weather, up, down, who knows? Could be anything.
I mowed my lawn today. I know my rhododendron bushes have buds on them again.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's because of the weather, how hot it got. Now one of them's like gonna bloom.
Yep. One of mine did bloom.
Did it?
Yeah,
Interesting.
which means next spring, nada. But what are you gonna do?
Okay, thank you
Thank you,
all.
everybody.
Okay.
We have something else, don't we, Archie?
One
We,
thing,
we do. Hey, Mike, is it important for the selectmen to, since we'll be asking them to actually sign the warrant this week so we can post it, is it important for them to vote the warrant with the revisions tonight, just so we have?
I think we should have a vote, sure. Yeah, vote to approve the warrant as amended tonight.
And one of those amendments is the 236,460. I have that note somewhere, but if I just cleaned up my paper.
Well, that's the 234,460, but that's not, that amount isn't going to appear actually in the warrant.
I know, okay, but
But yes, that is the net effect of the.
So the motion would be basically to approve the warrant as set forth in the selectmen packet with the amendments to Article
3.
3 and Article, what was it?
7.
7.
yes.
Okay. Okay, so I moved that. Or do I need to say it again?
No, you moved it, okay. You second, Rick?
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Who's got the bag potato chips going?
That was, no, they're chickpea vegan white cheddar puffs. And I'll put my mute on. I'm sorry. Wait till I start crunching them. I'm sorry.
Okay. The next article is the Commonwealth wants us to have a public hearing to announce the conservation restriction that was approved by the town and the city of Newburyport and Greenbelt and the Commonwealth. So we want to vote to go into a public hearing to make this announcement. So
So moved.
all in favor? Well, you know, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then there's some, I gotta find it quickly.
Page 23 of the packet.
Okay.
If
Certification of announcement pursuant to 301 CMR 51.082. The DCR number P-000957, Town of West Newbury. I, David Archibald, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of West Newbury, Massachusetts, do hereby certify that on September 28th, 2020, it was announced at a public meeting of the Board of Selectmen that the Department of Conservation and Recreation may acquire a conservation restriction on land located in the town of West Newbury as shown on the locus map marked as Exhibit A for conservation and/or recreation purposes. So this is the land on the Artichoke River, the 38 acres that is being jointly, that is in the town of West Newbury, that's being acquired by the city of Newburyport to help the water supply of both towns. So I don't think we need to do anything else.
Hold on, I have a question, of course. Did you say passive or did you just say recreation?
I didn't use the word passive.
Generally, all these type of things is passive recreation.
No, Glenn, I'm reading exactly what they told me to read.
Okay, you got it. Okay, that's just always been something in the past, so I just don't want to make sure that when we say that, somebody can bring a snowmobile down there. That's it.
Okay. So now I make a motion for us to close the public hearing.
Kemper, second.
All in favor? Aye.
Kemper, aye.
Parker, aye.
Okay, town manager updates.
I didn't prepare anything for tonight with the meeting coming up next week. Just, I know, I'm sorry, we do. We have, update on the contract status for the Soldiers Sailors Memorial Building. So we've made quite a bit of progress in the last week. We had Mark Rich of KP Law was on the job within about a half a day of the last board meeting, and he specializes in construction contracts. And so he and I spoke by phone. He was of like mind with Mike McCarron in terms of the starting point for the contract not being the AIA template, but instead being a form of contract that's written to secure the municipality's interests. And sure enough, they had a form of contract that lends itself well to this. So we shipped off all of the back information, including any comments that had been received on the initial draft that the architect provided. And then Mark Rich spoke with Mike McCarron by phone to get Mike's particular insights. And we had a draft contract in our hands, I believe it was on Friday. And so we're going to get back to Mark tomorrow with any comments or input Mike and I have, or if the board has any comments you want to offer tonight. But my guess is we'll have a proposed form of contract to get over to the designer, hopefully by the end of tomorrow. Certainly this week.
Good progress. Great.
That's great. Okay, anything next meeting is actually next Monday. So Glenn or Rick, anything we need on the agendas?
I would just like to say that contracts.
Well,
That's
that's what I've got. Yeah.
I haven't seen any drafts, but I should, and I don't want to. But I just wanted to make sure that, and I understand it was the big night tonight because I don't think anyone thought that vegan chickpea, potato chips would come out of my mouth. But I'm glad I
Go into your
experienced
mouth, more like.
anything called vegan, I'd be eating. But I'm trying to turn my life around. Okay, no, that's it. Just contracts.
Yeah.
Anything that we want to talk about water related? We want to get into that?
I would suggest that we would have an executive session meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners at some point sooner than later about the situation.
Oh, well, I have a call tomorrow, so we'll.
So if it's not if it's not timely for this meeting, I would ask.
It's going to be coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, for the next one.
The other items I've got for next week, other than executive session, I won't get into that, but we have a request for appointment to the Council on Aging. We have a update from the state. The Commonwealth has issued guidance on Halloween, and I've been corresponding with Paul Savigny And I think we'll have some updates a week from tonight on Halloween.
He's not canceling Halloween, is he?
Nope, we're not. No one's canceling Halloween. It's
Okay, good.
forward, and
I
they're
just
going
want-
to encourage masks, so that should fit right in with.
No, but that was a kind of rhetorical question. I just didn't want people to say, oh my God, they're gonna be doing it next week, and then another another week of getting texts from people about we're canceling Halloween. I never really
Trick or
thought,
treating will be able to go forward.
but we'll come out with some guidelines next week.
Yeah,
We'll talk about some. Okay.
yeah.
We may make a rule that you can't have too much licorice. I don't know if you saw a report.
No, it's not licorice. It's black licorice. The guy ate like a bag of black licorice for like 2 weeks or something like that, and his whole system shut down and died.
Okay.
Is that-
Yeah, Angus, I'll talk to you tomorrow about the executive. Okay.
Good, great.
Okay, good night, everybody.
No, we got a motion to adjourn.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get-
Bye.
Aye.
Second. All right.